Okay, I want you to imagine something. You're 1,000 feet below the surface of the ocean. You're living inside a pressurized tin can. It's dark, it's cold, and the only thing between you and total oblivion is just a few inches of steel. So why would anyone choose a life like this? Well, today, we're going to dive into the absolutely harrowing journey of the saturation diver.
Right from the start, the stakes are just incredibly high. This isn't your average job, right? It's a constant, second-by-second negotiation with physics. That immense pressure of the deep sea is this relentless, ever-present force. It's a kind of hostility you can literally feel in your bones. But for some people, believe it or not, there's a pressure that's even more crushing.
And that's the pressure back on land. Crippling debt, bills that just never seem to stop coming. That kind of weight, it can feel even heavier than an entire ocean. So the sat life, as they call it, offers a way out. A kind of golden handshake. We're talking six-figure paychecks for just a few months of work. This isn't about a deep love for the ocean. For a lot of these guys, it's an exit strategy from a life that's already squeezing them dry.
So, you do it. You make the choice. You sign on the dotted line. But this is so much more than just starting a new job. This is like stepping into a whole other reality. And the process begins by systematically stripping away the person you were back on the surface. The whole thing is just shockingly clinical. First, you sign the contract. Then you surrender your phone. That's it. Your last link to the outside world is gone. You step into this tiny living space with 3 other people, and then you hear it, that final metallic slam of the chamber door. From that exact moment on, you're not really a person anymore. You're an asset.
And that door, it's going to stay sealed shut for the next 28 days. 4 weeks. Think about that. You're in a windowless steel box under artificial light that never, ever fully turns off. Your entire world just shrinks down to the size of a tiny room.
And the descent begins almost immediately. Technicians start what they call blowing down the pressure. They're compressing the air inside to match the absolutely crushing depth of the sea. Now, this is not like your ears popping on an airplane. No, this is an agonizing physical assault. Your ears don't just pop, they scream in protest. Your body's being forcibly adapted to an environment it was never, ever meant to survive in.
So once you're actually at depth, that's when the real test begins. This isn't some short trip. This is your life now. You have to eat, sleep, and work in a world that is fundamentally, completely alien to human existence. Even time itself starts to get all warped. So, to stop you from getting a really dangerous condition called nitrogen narcosis at these depths, the air you breathe is a mix that's super rich in helium. And the side effect? Well, your voice goes all high-pitched, almost cartoonish. You and your crewmates sound like a joke. But the work you're doing, maybe fixing a pipeline in the freezing absolute darkness, is deadly serious. There is zero margin for error. And your body really starts to pay the price. By the second week, it just feels like it's breaking down. The constant pressure makes your joints ache all the time. The humidity is so high that your skin gets these fungal infections, what the divers just call the rot. Some guys even say their teeth feel like they're buzzing. You might be 30 years old, but you feel 60. And all that physical distance, well, it creates this profound psychological distance too. You get letters, about your daughter's soccer game or your wife getting a promotion, and it doesn't even feel real. It honestly feels like you're reading news from a foreign country, about some fictional character you used to be. That person is just slowly being replaced by the diver in the suit. So how do you cope with all this? You develop this defense mechanism the veterans call the split. It's a kind of clinical detachment. You can't let yourself think about the hundreds of tons of water pressing down on you. You can only think about the weld right in front of your face. You basically split yourself in two. There's the part that does the task, and then there's the part that just watches, totally safe and disconnected from the terror of it all. In an environment like this, your emotions become a liability. You see accidents happen. You feel that fear bubbling up, but you absolutely cannot let it take hold. You learn to suppress it, to just push it all down. Because thinking about home, or the future, or just getting out, that kind of hope can actually break you. Down here, hope is poison. But, eventually, the job does end. The 28 days are up, but you don't just open the door and walk out into the sunshine. Getting back to the surface is every bit as dangerous, and in some ways, it's even more agonizing than the descent.
For the entire last week of your contract, you're still locked in that chamber. But now, you're undergoing decompression. Technicians slowly, so painstakingly, bleed off the pressure over several days. On day 24, Maybe you'll have a video call with your family, but the conversations are just stilted, awkward. By day 28, you're just waiting. I mean, how do you explain the person you've become to a world you've been functionally dead to for an entire month?
Yeah, coming back is not some triumphant return. It's more like being a ghost re-entering a house where everyone has already learned to live without you. The world kept turning, and you feel like you're waking up in a room that you just don't recognize anymore.
The moment that door finally opens, the surface world just assaults your senses. The air is full of smells you totally forgot existed, and it's completely overwhelming. The sun is just blindingly bright. You walk off that barge, and you don't feel like a hero who conquered the deep. You just feel heavy.
So you go home. You look at the house you bought, the financial security you've earned. You look at your own hands, the ones that did the work, and you're left with this one single haunting question. You escaped the pressure of the surface world by descending into the abyss, but was the trade worth it?